Okay, so today you are going to need, this is going to be kind of weird, you're going to need a strap and a block. You can use more blocks. If you don't have a block and you have a book, that'll be great. It is going to be fairly useful to have this thing though, and we'll kind of address the why and stuff. Hi, madam. Or rather, you'll see why that becomes useful later. Hi. Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the world. I just took over a noon yoga class, and I could not, like, you know, like that part of your brain that you don't have to think about that tells you whether it's morning or afternoon or evening. I don't think I have that. I kept saying good morning and whatever you're doing this morning during class, and they're like, it's lunchtime, whatever. But I was reading through this book called Think Again by Adam Grant, and this section talking about listening and why listening is a really effective, in fact, probably the most effective method of trying to persuade people, which sounds like a strange thing, right? Listening is a good way to help persuade people, but like the reasoning, hi Victoria and Marco, the reasoning in this is that we develop these stronger connections by giving, what is this? It says, listening is a way of offering others our scarcest, most precious gift, our attention. And that is really powerful, to truly give something your attention, to truly give somebody your attention. Like, I don't know about you, but I have very limited resources of time and energy. And so the places where I choose to put that time and energy into, they have got into that space by being something that I hold in very high esteem. And we really do that as people. Like, you can give like your half-assed attention to something and just kind of like be there, and like that's fine, like that's not terrible, but how much better are our experiences and are other people's experiences when we are fully invested in them? In the yamas and the niyamas, the don'ts and the do's, one of the don'ts is don't steal, and call it asteya. And most of the time we feel like we're pretty good on that one because we're not like in the habit of robbing 7-Elevens, probably. I don't know your life, but the really big thing is that there are so many more things that we can take or not give when we should. When we are stealing others' attention, when we are not giving attention where it's necessary, where it's deserved, where it is stimulating and fostering connection and depth and community, that's violating asteya. And we do yoga and we hang out, we say like, okay, what's this sensation like, and what's this breath like, and how does the pose feel today? We don't do that because it's like really important to have a laundry list of exactly what happened during the yoga practice and how our hammies are feeling today. Like, it really essentially doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things how your hammies are feeling today. But if I get good at noticing how my hammies are feeling today, if I get good at paying attention to how to best care for my hammies today, or my shoulder, or whatever it is, or caring for my breath, it's like that idea, we don't meditate to get good at breathing. It's about the bigger things that we're cultivating. We're cultivating these skills so that we can take them ideally off of our mats and into the world, and not necessarily just so that we can be rosy, wonderful people for everybody else, but also so that we can be rosy, wonderful people for ourselves, and to create this kind of life that we want to be enmeshed in. Yes. So let's do stuff worth listening to in our bodies, and you can listen in the music as well. We'll take index finger and thumb together. We'll go to the center of the forehead with that squishy spot at the bottom of your thumb, and then brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. I know, I'm gone more. It's terrible. And then from your temples down to your chin, along your jawline. And from the sides of your nose down to your chin along your laugh lines. And then you'll take your fingertips underneath and behind your ears, and there's a soft spot that's back there. And above the soft spot is a bony spot. And when you lift up from that bony spot, you get a little bit more space in between your vertebrae. I just realized everybody here has heard me say that probably 100 times by now, but apparently that's just a good thing to continue with the tapas, the repetitions, not the small food plates. Okay, and then rest your hands down in your lap. And pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to your body. Listen in. Get inquisitive. How are you feeling today? What do you need today? What are you noticing about yourself now that you're spending this time to tune in, to listen? And the next time you take a breath in, nice and full, go ahead and let it out through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. And then we're going to come down onto our backs to start off practice today. So if you've got your block or your book and your strap or your scarf, whatever you're using to facilitate the items we have here, and then come down onto your back. So you just want to have those nearby. We're going to come down, bringing your knees into your chest, yourself a little rock around. And then place your hands on your kneecaps and start to move your knees in a circle. And you can move them together or like independently of each other. It's up to you, but start to kind of stir the thigh bones around inside of the pelvis.
I continuously think this is ongoing pounding on my floor is quite audible.
Sonny, were you saying something intentionally?
No.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, so once you've gone rolling around in one direction, just roll around in the other. It's all good. I'm just always like, oh, if you have something to say, I want to make sure that I hear you guys. Oh, glad you're here. So as you keep holding on to your right leg, go ahead and extend that left leg out. Now you might only get it like a little bit out. It might not go all the way. And you might decide that it's better to hold on behind your thigh. But if you can get that left leg a little bit straighter, you keep pressing out through the sole of the left foot. If your leg is bent, you're going to be reaching your thigh away from you. So you keep thinking about extending that leg. Just if it gets straight, it's pressing out through that foot. And then this right thigh becomes maybe a bit softer. Feeling it relax in towards your body as your left foot extends strongly outward. One more exhale. And then relax your left leg. You're going to take the right knee and draw it across your body. And then your left arm, go ahead and reach that out on a diagonal line. So like not directly in line with your head, but kind of out there, running into your pillow. And then you can take your left hand and go ahead and bring it to your belly if that helps you to think of that softening and relaxing sensation. One more exhale. And then come back to the center. You're going to take your left leg in and you'll hold it behind your thigh or around your shin, and then start to slide your right leg out. I'm going to extend the leg as much as you can and extend the leg away from you as much as you can. So this right leg is really active. The left leg, the left hip in particular, becoming as little of active as possible. Staying with the breath. Noticing what changes. One more exhale. And then you're going to relax the right leg. Take your left leg across, and then this left arm is out at a diagonal angle. Madam. Maybe your right hand comes to your belly, unless it needs to pet a dog or something, and you can let your belly soften. Will you have a squat? Thank you. Softening into your center. One more exhale. And then coming onto your back, you're going to bring your knees into your chest again. And then you're going to bring the knees above your hips, and then your shins kind of sort of like they're parallel to the ceiling, and then let your abdominals, your center, wrap inwards. You feel just a little bit more heated. And then if those wrapped inwards and all of a sudden your jaw muscles started to wrap around, relax these, but keep these as fired up as you can. Arms down by your sides. Go ahead and press the outsides of your shoulders down as well. Try to keep the chest open, just seeing if you can get the body a little bit more used to being open in that space. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, drop your right heel down towards the floor. And as you inhale, bring the right leg back up. Exhale, left heel down. And inhale back up. And then keep going. So notice I'm not coming to the ground. And I'm moving pretty slowly. Because the slower I move, the more time I have to listen to what's going on in my body and the muscles that are working right now. And the more time I spend listening, the more I'm likely to hear, the greater impact this whole exercise has. So keep going. And one more time each side. And the next time you finish up with your left leg, you can set your feet down and then let your knees open up. You can take your fingertips to the outsides of your shins. If this feels a little bit too tender, you can do one leg at a time instead, if that is a little bit more supportive in your body. Try to relax these inner thighs though. We just use them a lot in that core work, so we find that balance between the engagement and the fieriness, and then the softening, the sitting back. And take your fingertips, draw your legs back in. We're going to take the right leg and you're going to bring the foot in between your left hip and your left foot. Notice I rolled over a little bit. Probably you'll need to do that in order to get this foot underneath, and then tuck it in as close as you can. My right knee is on the floor. My left hip does not need to be, but maybe it starts to drop downwards. If you want to take your left hand and either hold onto your foot or put it behind your head, it might feel nice. And if you have it behind your head, you can kind of scooch your right elbow over, or your left elbow over towards the right a little bit. Now, if you have a hand free and you have the desire to dig a little deeper into this, take your fingertip and bring it to the right hip crest, so that bone, that ridge. And then you're going to take that with your fingertip there. You can feel where it is. Can you use your belly to draw that hip crest up towards your belly button? Or maybe even take your fingertips and trace that line up to your belly button. And if you feel that drawing upwards, you get a little bit more into like the center of that thigh. I know that's the thigh you can see. So I'm just right kind of in the middle there. Right in the middle of that quad. One more exhale. And then you're going to unwind this right leg, unwind your left arm, find yourself back in center, which might take some finagling. And then your left foot is going to slide in that little space in between your right hip and your right foot, and then you scooch that left knee in closer to your foot. It's fine if the right hip doesn't come down, but you're going to relax it like it might go down. And then your left arm is going to, did I do this wrong? Oh, I totally did this wrong on the other side. Any arm can be back behind you. Just make it up. Try to do something vaguely like what you did on the other side. Because this is the side stretch. What was I doing before? Man, that's weird. Okay, anyway. So you've got your hip crest coming up towards your belly button. I'm having a processing issue today, I think. Okay. So a little shortening there. Can you feel that? Like, just a little bit. And then right in there, right where my tattoo is. I'm just like, oh, okay. Just take 2 more breaths. And then wherever your arms are, go ahead and free them if they happen to be trapped somewhere. Let's free that leg. Coming back to the center and just let yourself settle in. I'm going to bring your knees into your chest. And you can roll to one side or rock yourself up to a seat. Once you get up to that seat, you got to grab your strap and your block, because we're going to do this from seated, because if you did it on the floor, you would possibly have some slight tragedy. So if this is a heavy thing, either get not a heavy thing or just be very careful. And then you're going to take the middle of your strap and you're going to bring it around the middle of your thing. So it looks, I don't know, like a piece of sushi or something. So you've got it right in the middle. If it is here or somewhere not in the middle, you could possibly, you run a greater risk of chaos. And just pick a leg, it doesn't matter. You're gonna put your foot all the way in the middle of it. See, I'm as middle as I can get on this thing. And then I'm gonna hold on to the strap. I'm just gonna roll on back. Whatever you do with the opposite foot is fine. But much like we often say, we're not trying to drive this leg in. You're pushing your foot into your block or your book or your DVD box set, and then like extending that leg outwards. Yeah. So we've got, can you see how that thigh is going out and forward? We get a little bit more of that lengthening and extending energy. And it feels a little different when you're pushing the foot into the block rather than into the strap, right? It's like somewhat freer. It doesn't feel like, to me, I don't feel this like, oh, I have to pull the strap kind of vibe. I feel, oh, I've got a block there. I'm going to push into it like it's a button. It's the open my hamstrings button. That's what that button does. One more exhale. Then bend that leg a little bit. You can come out however you want. I would recommend trying to sit up first. So maybe you just yourself up there, and then you're gonna switch to the other side. So like check it out. Yeah, my little thing went weird places. Okay, so I'm in the middle. My foot's in the middle, and then I'm gonna come back onto my back. Ooh. I like the wrap up of the fingers, of course. I'm pressing the foot out into that open my hammy button. Good. Keep pushing that foot outwards into the block. One more exhale. And then you're gonna bend that knee a little bit. Let's roll ourselves up. And then you can go ahead and set, if you have like a front of your space, if you wanna set the block by the front of your space, you can do that. You can move the strap aside. We probably won't use it again, although you are of course welcome to explore that use at any point. We're gonna sit back in a child's pose, and your child's pose might be more like a puppy dog pose with your hips up in the air. Don't worry about the hip placement. We're gonna do a little bit of rolling around on the forehead, maybe shifting the hips a little bit. Noticing how you feel in this child's pose, listening to your body here. One more exhale. And then lifting yourself up, we're gonna come up onto our hands and knees, walk it out a little bit longer, and then as slowly as you want to, lowering down onto your belly. And wiggle your legs a little bit further back behind you, so a little bit more open on the front of your hips. And then you're gonna push down on the tops of your feet so your legs activate. We're also going to activate and thus warm up and thus create more flexibility and space in these hammies. So keeping that going as you inhale, lift your chest up in the cobra, and exhale, lower. So try as best you can. Don't worry about height. Stay pushing into the feet as you come up and down in cobra. And I gotta be honest, I really don't like this. I don't like pressing my feet down. It feels weird. It's harder. It's a little bit more action. I sense some resistance there. I'm not pleased about the idea, but I know it does more to tone the backside, to warm it up. And sometimes worth listening to ideas that we're not crazy about. One more time. And then you're gonna relax those legs. Go ahead and make a pillow for your head with your hands. Wiggle your hips a little side to side. And bring your hands in by your low ribs. I'm gonna pick your hips up off of the floor and then push the rest of you up off of the floor and back into downward facing dog. And then curl your toes, press into your hands. You're gonna curl your toes under, press into your hands so your hips are lifted up. Your arms are strong all the way from the arms to every one of your fingertips. And then lift your heels up high and then relax them way more than they were before. Do that one more time. Lift them up high and then way further down, more relaxed. Lowering your knees, we're going to keep the toes curled under and then walk the hands back. Now you might decide to stay here, in which case you're going to leave your palms down and you're going to push down into your hands, feeling how your upper back expands. If you're feeling spicier, it's hands coming out, palms pressing forward. And then as you press your hands forward, your lower ribs, soften those in slightly. So I'm not really rounded, so you feel a little bit more open across that upper back. Good. One more exhale. And then relax your arms, walk them forward. We're gonna go back up into downward facing dog. Using that pressure of the heart into the hands. Maybe you feel the backs of the legs are a little bit more open. Then looking forward and coming into a forward fold. You can bring your feet forward. You might take a block underneath your hands. You might have very bent knees. Letting yourself soften and relax forward. Try to release the back of your neck. And then bring your hands back in. Start to lift yourself up to standing. And then we're going to take the feet a little bit closer together here. So if they were kind of wide, bringing them in, finding your chair pose distance. So for me, I feel good about a chair pose when I could put like an extra big toe in between my feet. But you got to make sure that your knees aren't doing wonky things. So you want to have maybe your feet together or a little bit of space if that helps you to get a little deeper, because it does for me, having that little bit of space. You always get to like kind of check that out, like test those theories in the body and figure it out. So bring your hands to your hips. We're going to sit back into chair pose. And then you're going to lift your toes up and look down at them. Try not to round down, but you are going to look down because you're going to see all of your toes up, and then try to put just your big toes down. And then lift the big toes up and try to put just the pinky toes down. And then lift them up. And then maybe you can put like right pinky toe, left big toe, and left pinky toe, right big toe. Maybe you go from the pinky toes all the way down one at a time through the big toes, and maybe one at a time from the big toes lifting up all the way, or the big toes going down. I can't. There's all kinds of opportunities here to move the toes around, right? And there's like different levels to which our toes are willing to listen to us. So it could be worth playing with. One more exhale, sit those hips a little deeper, and then straighten your legs. Take your arms up, make steeple fingers or Charlie's Angels hands, and then you're going to reach up a little bit taller. On your exhale, side bend to your right. Notice what happened with your shoulders when you raised your arms up. Did the shoulders squeeze back in together, or can they open away from the spine? And how does that feel? Which do you prefer? You push down a little bit more into the left foot to get a little bit more length through that side. And then coming up and going over in the other direction. So noticing where the shoulder blades went, noticing where they feel a little bit better. Maybe you find a little bit more length by pushing into the right foot. One more exhale. And then bring yourself back up. Go ahead and release those arms down. And we're going to do a little bit more work in chair. If you would like to keep your hands at your hips, you might feel a little bit more supported there. Medium version is hands at the heart, and then super spicy is to reach your arms all the way out into chair pose. I will warn you, this version is harder to balance in. Now, stay bent down into those knees and just lift up your left heel. Probably nothing really changed, right? We kept that engaged, you're paying close attention, and we're just going to try to keep as little changing here as possible as you move your left toes back and in, and back and in. You can go slow because you don't want to have too many reps in. It's not going to get you to Shavasana any faster. Do one more. And then stand up and release your arms down. Wiggle things. They probably got tense. Probably didn't love that. Unless you do love that. I don't know. You should. It's good for you. It's good for the balance in the upper butt. We're going to sit down. We're going to do the other side. So sit it back. Arms are out or in or at your hips. And then try to change as little as possible as you just lift your right heel. Now you've got all of the weight on your left foot, so you are free to do the tapping. And then hopefully still the breathing. A couple of times. Sitting back in your hips. Let's say one more. We'll pretend that I was counting at any point. And then just sit deep into both hips. And then emerge. Tadasana. And then release your arms down. And we're going to go from chair into warrior one. And I encourage you just to kind of like make it, maybe you're like going for a really smooth. Maybe you want to take like a weird, fun entrance into it. So we're gonna go down in the chair. And then maybe you're working on making it really smooth or long or slow coming into warrior one. And then you probably have to adjust something. Just being aware of how like the feet just don't go necessarily exactly where you intended to, and then you get to make changes. Now, as you're looking forward and reaching these arms up and trying to get both hips forward, notice how that feels. Like, all right, okay. So warrior one feels like this, got it. And then lean forward a little bit. Take your left arm forward and then take your right arm back. So you're twisting over your front leg. And I'm leaning forward slightly to allow this twist to start to open. Yeah? I'm pulling this hip back towards the back foot. One more exhale. And then coming back to face up towards the front. Does it feel any different in warrior one? Anything at all? You might have an easier time pulling this hip back after the twist. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not sure. I don't know is always an okay answer if it's honest. And then we're going to straighten that leg, shift over so you've got kind of like triangle legs, but then you're going to settle down into warrior two. Try that again. Come on up. Lift up, get a little bit taller, and then like you're floating down into warrior two. And you'll stay floating, you'll stay just kind of settled down here, and then we let the heart float up higher into peaceful warrior. So I've got the hand back here just for support. I'm not trying to dip back. I'm reaching that heart up and out. And take another big breath in. And exhale, return to warrior two. Now we're going to go super slow. That way you have time to listen to what's going on in that front thigh as you reach forward. Eventually the elbow coming down and this top arm over. So you slow and you listen, and this hip is still pushing or pulling towards that back foot. And try a little bit longer through that top left side. And then go ahead and look down towards the floor. You're going to take your left hand down. It might go onto a block or onto your dog. You might lower your left knee, or you can just come up onto your toes. And then lift your inner thighs. Maybe lift your right arm to the sky. You can put it on your side too. That's all good because you can still twist right here. One more exhale. And then you're going to take your right hand down on the inside of your leg. Now this is where things get a little funky. You probably have to move that foot out to the side. You might feel best if you put that back knee down. It's a-okay to do so. You don't have to leave that leg up, but you could. Maybe from either position, you start to reach your chest forward. And like I said, you've got blocks, you've got stuff you might be able to put underneath your hands so that you can give yourself a little more space. And then this is going to be a little bit spicier still. You're going to start to straight-ish that front leg. Now it might only get here, and then you just push into your foot and you feel all of this opening up. Maybe you come up to fingertips. Maybe it does start to get straight. Maybe you left that back knee on the ground and you go here. That's another option. But I got the leg a little bit wider because there's just a little bit more room on the outsides of the pelvis rather than in the center of the pelvis. Yeah. So. Whew. One more exhale. And then you're going to look forward. We're going to bend into this knee. We're going to step it up into a wide-legged fold up at the front of your mat. Ugh. Shake and wiggle things out. This thing is on fire at this point. The other leg is ready, or it may as well be because we're going to go for it. Start to roll yourself up. And then bring your feet in. So once you make it here, just sit back into your hips, reach the arms out. We're going through that whole thing. We're going to start with that slow or crafted entry into warrior one. Try it out. Adjust what you need to. Once you find that good placement, you're like, okay, seems good. Crane tracks, front knee forward, back foot up, lifted spine, still breathing. Awesome. How does this feel? And then when we change, how does it feel afterwards? So you're going to take right arm forward, lean forward, left arm back. And then you soften your belly into this twist. One more exhale. And then facing forward again, come back to warrior one. See if it feels any easier to pull this front hip back. And then straighten your leg, lift up. We're going to align a little bit more like triangle. And then float down into warrior two. Notice how the alignment works, because sometimes that knee will float in. So how did that happen? And then try it again, lift it up. And then float down right into it. And then we'll stay floating down here and lift up peaceful warrior. And let your heart rise, let your shoulder roll back. One more big breath in. And then flattening out into warrior two. You're going to keep this thigh pulling back as you slowly reach out and reach out slowly. Give yourself time, listen to it. How does it feel? Yeah, this is working. It's doing the stuff. And then elbow down. And then the top arm over. Keep that bend in my knee. There we go. Lengthening out, reach down into that foot out through those fingertips. And then you're going to start to turn down towards the floor. We're going to take the right hand down. We're going to pivot up onto the right toes or come down onto the right knee. Either is fine. You're going to start to roll into this twist. Softening your belly, letting that top shoulder open a little bit more. One more exhale. And then you're going to release your left hand on the inside of your leg. You probably have to widen this stance a little bit more. And we're going to start off here in lizard pose, and that back knee could be down. Push the back foot back, reach the heart forward. You know, if I wear pants, everything is super dark in here. If I don't wear pants, it looks like it's really sunny outside, and it's not. It's like super dark. Lighting is weird. I'm working on tech stuff. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. You're working on breathing, getting there. Slowly but surely. One more exhale. And then we're going to start to straight-ish that front leg. Oh my goodness. Oh. And you can relax inwards. You don't have to go like super straight spine or anything. You can put the back knee down. Just do it. Give yourself that little extra softness. Listen to what your body needs. That's another part of this practice. Like, we just get used to like, what is this meat suit and how do I use it? How can I keep it in good shape but I don't have to think about, you know, as much pain or discomfort, and I'm free to go about and enjoy my fabulous life? One more exhale. And then you're going to bring your right foot up into kind of a wide fold. Oh, noticing the differences between the sides. Maybe this one's still kind of turned on. Maybe it's a little bit softer after all that time. Then wiggle your feet in just a little bit closer, more like hip width apart. And you're going to take your shoulders, roll them back, come up halfway. Ardha Uttanasana. We've got that little bit of like cobra action in the chest, and we're reaching the tailbone back. Good. Nice and long, finding that extension in all directions. When you exhale, go ahead and soften in, and then stand all the way up. Reach those arms up, and bring your hands down to your heart. Now, if you can easily bring your hands to the ground in revolve half moon, great, fine. If you would like to come over to your couch and have something to put your hands on, also going to be good. If you have blocks and you want to use blocks, you can do that. We can do one block, all of the options. We're going to go from revolved half moon into half moon. And I've found it to be actually quite liberating. Like usually we think like, oh, I should practice half moon before I go into revolve half moon. But if I'm like, I don't honestly think that there's a lot about like half moon that prepares you for revolve half moon, because it's just like confusing once you get there. So we're going to feel that rotation and then feel this expansion. I think it should be nice. So I'm going to start with the block underneath my right hand and my left foot down. And then I'm just going to move the weight into my left foot and lift the right leg. I'm going to start just facing down here. So I can lift my inner thighs and feel my pelvis get a little flatter, a little squarer. And then instead of just having a limp leg up here, I'm going to push into that right foot with the same intensity I push into the left foot. Then my nose starts to turn over towards the left. Maybe my heart. Woo! Maybe the arm. Still lifting inner thighs, still pushing into both feet. And then I'm going to turn down and face towards the floor again. I'm going to take a block underneath my left hand now. Now, as you turn this open, I'm still going to press out into both feet. Try not to let this leg go back behind you. Ooh, you should feel a little bit more open across the lower back after that twist. Maybe open that top arm. Thinking of expanding in every direction. And then we can come down into a fold. Go ahead and stand yourself up just to get the blood moving in different directions. Yeah. So I'm kind of keeping things put together, moving from revolve half moon to full half moon. So you have like, you know, a lot of putting it together when you're all wrapped up. And then, yeah, there's a lot more freedom here, but I also don't want to like let the leg fly back and totally lose my balance. You might lose your balance anyway. That's how the game works. So let's go other side. Block under left hand, right foot on the ground, left leg up in the air. I'm gonna lift my inner thighs to keep the pelvis even. Try to keep that even with an active left leg as I start to rotate over towards the right. Maybe the arm comes up, maybe it doesn't. One more exhale. And then I'm gonna shift to having block underneath my right hand. Woo! Turn the toes to the left. Start to open your chest out to the left. Push into both feet. Maybe that top arm comes up. And then both feet down. Bent knees, forward fold, soften, relax something, wiggle something perhaps. And start coming up to standing. And bring your hands into your back pockets. And take a little standing back bend here, a little standing cobra. Let your shoulders draw back, your hips press forward, your heart come up. Inhale, exhale. And then lift and stack yourself back up. We're gonna come down into a seat. I would recommend if you have like a blanket or a pillow or something that you'd like to sit half up on in order to aid in your folding, you can do that. And then if you had anywhere around you that block or stack of books or anything that you might use roughly that shape or width. We're gonna go feet together. Take the feet a little bit further away from you, so not like super close in. And then we're gonna come forward and find a way to soften here. I'm just thinking like, what can I relax? Might be like kind of a survey through body parts. And then check in again. Where have you softened? Where is it still soft? Where is the conversation still necessary to be taking place? One more exhale. Then start to bring yourself up. You're going to grab this and put it in here. I'm going to open my feet up and put just something in between. We're only going to do the one level today. Don't worry. I won't go super crazy on you. A little bit of pressure of the feet in, and then let yourself come forward. If it's like this, maybe your forehead comes down. Maybe you think that that's nuts. You don't have to do that. That's okay. You could stack a whole bunch of things up here. As you're here and as the sensations come up, paying attention to them, responding appropriately. If you need to go deeper, go deeper. If you need to back off, backing off. About 3 more breaths. And start to bring yourself back up. We're going to remove this block from inside. Oh, and you're going to take your knees up, bring the block in between your knees. Just gently press the knees in. And then you can take the block out. Leave your knees where they are. Bring your hands beside them, and you're going to gently press the knees out. And then relax it. I'm going to take the block. You can bring it off to the side if you're not going to use it again. If you've been sitting up on something, we're going to scooch that back. And then leave your right shin in front of you. Take your left shin to the side of you so that you're creating kind of this squared off position. I don't have that foot in by my hip. I'm going to start resting myself back. I might press this hip forward and stay here, maybe massage it, maybe go to the side. It might start going back more. Want to leave the knee down, let the hip lift if anything lifts. You stop where you feel the appropriate amount of sensation for your body today, which might mean you go all the way down. It might mean that you don't. Do you want to let this hip rise so that you're not letting it fall in and shortening this hip crease? You want to lengthen and open that hip crease. Give yourself one more exhale. And then if you've been laying back pretty far, go ahead and take your left hand, cross it over. So then you've got both arms together and you can kind of doggy paddle your way up. And then we'll switch to the other side. I'm going to start off in this pinwheel kind of square position. That foot is not in by my hip. I'll come back a little bit maybe. Letting the hip come forward. Maybe you go sometimes to the side feels a little bit better than going back. It's a little bit less intense. Maybe you lay all the way back down. And if somebody comes in, they wonder what on earth happened to you, but that's okay. You're just here on your own. Wow, you have to do that right by the mic. It's just very distracting. Yes, I do. I must be seen, paid attention to, listen to me. Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's go for 2 more breaths in this place. And then if you're laying back pretty far, it'll be that right hand that crosses over, and then you use both hands to just doggy paddle your way up. You could come out of that seat. Right, madam? Okay. And then we're going to come down onto our backs. I've got a couple more things to do still, but this one is on our back. So come on down. I'm going to take your right thigh and cross it on top of your left thigh. And then you're going to hop your hips a little bit over towards the right and then go down. My suggestion is to stop where the foot catches you, but you can go down further. It's not going to be wrong. I just prefer to stay here because I want to get this outer top hip space. Yeah? You might even take your left hand, bring it to your belly, and invite that softening in again. And have your right arm out, maybe wiggle your shoulders in such a way that helps to soften that right shoulder more. Keep softening inwards. Long holds, opening in that outer hip. One more exhale. Then you're going to unwind this right leg. As you come back to the center, you'll probably have to scoot your hips a little bit to come back into a more neutral position. Fidget what you got to fidget, and then once you find that balanced, neutral place, let yourself be heavy. Let yourself rest there. And taking it over to the other side, sliding your left leg on top. Little hop of the hips over towards the left, and then as the knees go over towards the right, maybe you catch yourself with that foot. It's a little bit less deep spine twisty, a little bit more outer hip opening. If your hand at your belly helps to have it feel a bit softer, maybe giving yourself that. One more exhale. And then unwinding that top leg, coming back to center, fidget, wiggle, whatever you need to in order to feel balanced. And then widen your feet a little bit, let your knees fall against each other. Notice the change here where we're kind of connected and inwards, and then change it up. Bring your feet together and your knees out wide. Maybe even snuggle your shoulder blades underneath your heart so your heart's a little bit more open. And if it feels intense, you can take your fingertips to the sides of your thighs, which might help with that. And this openness, expansion in the front. Take a big breath in. Let that breath out. And bringing your knees towards each other, bring them into your chest. And you're going to come up to a seat again. And if you find sitting up on anything to fold as helpful, then you'll grab that. And then just sticking one leg out in front of you, doesn't matter. Then the other leg. Got this leg bent in, this one out. And then I'm going to come forward into a fold. And you go to a place where you can have some softness. Maybe you bring something and put it underneath your head. Maybe you have your head just barely tilting forward here. Go to where it feels good for you. Stay with what is. Breathe into it. And then if all of a sudden you notice even the tiniest bit of extra space has come up, maybe you move into that. One more breath out. And start to peel yourself off of that leg. We're gonna take a little twist towards the bent leg. Just a little one. And then a little twist away from the bent leg, just a little one. And then coming back into the center, you're gonna take your right leg out, or your other leg out, and bring the, just switch them, it doesn't matter. I try not to say so all the time. It's so arbitrary. We made up all of this stuff anyway, like time. Time is an illusion. All right, coming forward. Coming forward with softness. About 2 more breaths. And starting to lift yourself up. Once you get there, taking a little twist over your bent leg. And a little twist over the other leg. And then releasing that. We're going to take the legs out. I'm going to take your left hand and start to bring it to the outside of your right foot or the outside of your right leg. And you're going to kind of like pull in a little bit, like pull yourself down a little bit with that arm is going to the opposite leg. And then the other hand is going to come to your hip. And this elbow is going to roll back. I'm kind of pulling here. I'm also lifting the chest and I'm softening my belly. Might feel good behind the shoulder of the arm that's pulling. One more exhale. And release that and move to the other side. So you're going to hold somewhere, pull slightly. Hand is at your hip. And you're rolling the chest open and away from the doggo kisses. Away from doggo kisses. So, I know, I love you too. You have to sit though. Okay. Everybody else is sitting. Don't you want to play yoga too? Sit back down. Thank you. One more exhale. And then release this. Take your feet, bring them a little wider. So like not super wide, but like kind of wide. And then coming into a fold, you might just rest your elbows down here. They might come down here. You might go really far. You're just barely on the insides of your legs if you're even going that far. And as always, having hands here to support you, absolutely fine. So going to whatever degree feels good. We won't hold this nearly as long as we held the one-legged ones. Just kind of see how it feels. Softening the belly, relaxing wide through that lower back. One more breath. And start to lift yourself up. And we're going to come down onto our backs. So having near you whatever you're going to want for Shavasana, because we're down there for real this time. And then set your feet down. Oof. Snuggle the shoulders under the back, push into the feet, lift up into bridge pose. I haven't done a lot of back bending today. I'm just using this as an opportunity to open the front of the body. Don't demand too much of yourself. Listen to what you need and where you're at right now. One more inhale. And relax your shoulders. Lower your hips down. Bringing your knees into your chest and then out wider. Let's take happy baby. Reaching up for the outsides of the feet or just holding back behind your knees. One more breath out. And then releasing your feet. Take both of your knees over towards the right. Open up that left arm. Let the rib cage roll to the left. Let the belly soften in. Let the body be heavy. Deep breath in. Softening as you breathe out. One more time. And then moving to the other side. Softening into your exhales. One more exhale. And coming to the center and starting to set yourself up for your final rest. So knees bent or legs extended, legs up the wall or a seated meditation. So many options. You've got all of them at your disposal. You can experiment a little bit, see what you like best, and settle in. Allow yourself this very beautiful rest. Start to wake yourself up. Maybe making some small movements in your fingers and toes, but most of all, getting back into that listening state. Notice what you feel, what you see, smell, hear. Maybe there's a taste lingering in your mouth. And when you feel ready, starting to roll yourself over to one side. And turning yourself inwards. Allowing yourself gratitude for coming onto your mat, for listening to yourself, for practicing this skill. And then when you're ready, coming up and finding your own version of a comfortable seat. And bringing your hands together at your heart. We'll seal practice, releasing another Om together. Take a big breath in. Bowing down to the love, the light, and the darkness that resides in each of our hearts. Namaste. Bye, everybody. Have great days. Have a good week. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye, Sonia.